Few roster updates. Daniel Headings will be a redshirt this year. We something we talked a little bit about before he got here. I try and do everything I can to just work through those things as long as we possibly can before a kid kind of makes an announcement. But he just had a back injury this fall, set him back quite a bit, and he's literally just getting back now, but it's still pretty ginger. And just based on the traveling to the last road trip and some of the things coming up, at the moment the plan is going to be to redshirt him this year. Drew Drennan has returned to his family, kind of has a personal family situation going on with his family. And I do not know the date of his return. It could be something a little longer term. I'd like to kind of keep his privacy as it is. And I quite honestly, I don't have an answer. It's like I told our team, I quite honestly don't know when or if he'll be coming back. But we'll update you guys kind of as we know. So that's just a little bit of a roster update. Obviously, signing period is going to be coming up shortly. We have some commitments that are kind of verbal that we're hoping will eventually become official with guys signing national letters of intent. I think we'll be getting one more here coming up shortly. In this class, we are obviously losing a lot of bigs up front, so we kind of went into this recruiting period really wanting to get bigger players and some post players. So hopefully that'll kind of continue to materialize for us. And excited about the possibility of what this recruiting class will bring, and then obviously what future recruiting classes will bring. So just a little bit on that. Our team schedule, we are going to go today, and we scrimmage Sunday. We've gone through here, and then I'm going to give them Friday and Saturday off. We've had a really long preseason. It's been a grind in a lot of ways, mentally and physically. And I think today's going to kind of be our last day, and I'm just going to give them 2 days. I actually kind of stole a little bit of the idea from the women. The women did something like that as this season started, and I was a little jealous or envious that I didn't think of it sooner. But when we got back from Oregon, really long trip, got in really late, and just the way the weeks unfolded, I just feel like we need to kind of hit a little bit of reset, refresh, come back on Sunday, and then just kind of grind it from there. So that's just a little bit about our schedule right now. From a marketing perspective, obviously I'm here to promote the Lobo brand as best I can. That includes buying tickets. So I talk about it all the time. Please continue to purchase Lobo basketball tickets, Lobo football tickets, and support the overall cause. I think I hope they know when they buy Lobo basketball tickets with a Lobo Club donation, that money goes to the rest of the department. From my understanding, I think it was over $1.5 million last year that went from men's basketball ticket sales to the athletic department. That's not money that goes to basketball or basketball ever sees. That's money that goes to other sports, other programs, and kind of the greater health of the overall department. So when you're buying basketball tickets, you're not always just contributing to it. You're contributing to all the other sports here at UNM. So I wanted to make sure I did mention that. I think our season ticket sales now are I know they're over 8,000. I don't know where they're at exactly. I know we've sold, I think, over 160 of the mini packs that they've started. We have a doubleheader promotion going on with the Northridge game, and I believe there's also a football game associated with one of those packs as well. So I'm excited to kind of, for people that do like basketball and football, they can kind of cash in on being able to see both of us at a discounted rate. So a little bit about everything. I'll take your guys' questions.
You said when or if with Drew. So just to be clear, there's a chance he does not return to the team?
Again, I want to respect his privacy right now, and I don't want to put words in his mouth. I know what our conversation was when he left town. I have not spoken to him since. I'm just kind of giving him his right to figure out kind of where the next chapter goes, and I don't want to maybe speak on his behalf until he's had some time to digest some things and kind of get back to me on what he wants the next step to be.
What does that do depth-wise for you? Do you have enough in the backcourt?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, even in my conversations with him, I hate talking about that, to be honest with you. There is a basketball part to it, and at some point we'll probably maybe discuss that a little bit more. But that wasn't the conversation I had with him. It was about him, his family, what's best for Drew Drennan. I didn't want to start bringing up what kind of predicament that may put us in or where maybe that leaves us. Those might be basketball conversations we'll have more as the situation kind of unfolds.
Coach, what are you allowed to say or comment on in regards to J.B. White?
Nothing.
Nothing?
I can confirm we're recruiting him, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What can you say about the Oregon scrimmage now that it's done? I understand you guys aren't going to release a whole lot of information. What information are you able to release?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're actually allowed, I believe, from, I think, your
After the fact.
requests. Yeah, I think I've learned about it. I think even we've learned a little bit more about it, that the rules have changed, and we are allowed to talk about scrimmages after the fact. There's probably still a unwritten rule amongst coaches that, hey, let's just kind of keep what we're doing here behind closed doors because of this is what we're working on, or this is about this player who may have played or who may have didn't play. Because I can tell you right now, my phone's been blowing up from people already. How to go against Oregon? What did you see? What did they do? I mean, people are trying to get ready for their opener. So at the respect of that, I probably won't talk too much other than I love the format. It was a brand new format. Every scrimmage I've ever been a part of back many years has always been we just played a game, and this was the first time, and Coach Altman was the one that kind of apprised me of it. This is how he had done his, and it involved like half-court possessions just for a period of time. It involved kind of controlled scrimmages. It involved a real game, and then it involved additional 5-minute games. So I mean, we played for 3+ hours, and it was an amazing experience in that 3 hours. And when you play basketball for that long, it's hard to kind of come up with things because there were so many peaks and valleys throughout that. I think there were stretches of it I'd sit here and tell you we were terrific, and there were some stretches in there I'd say, you know what, they were really good and we weren't. So probably a combination of those things overall. But it was an amazing experience for us to play at, the Nike headquarters was really cool. I think from an offensive talent perspective, probably the best team we'll see this year, which is a great challenge for us and our defense to go on the road for the first time. And we took a lot of things from it. And outside of the actual schematics and logistics of the event or just the game, those are probably pretty much the things I feel comfortable
Can you
talking
expand
about.
on, just to the extent that you want the details of the difference, like what you did? You said some half-court stuff.
Sure.
Then there were some actual game sequences.
Yeah.
What else did you do?
Yeah, I think we put 30 minutes up, and we just played half-court possessions. They had 3, we had 3, and we just went back and forth for quite a bit. And then we kind of broke that into a 3-possession game, meaning your ball, my ball, your ball, my ball, your ball. We did that for a period of time. Then we actually played a 40-minute real game. And then after that, we played an additional 5-minute game, and after that, an additional 5-minute game. So it was tremendous. And I thank Coach Altman afterwards because it was not an experience I'd ever been exposed to. Every other scrimmage I'd been involved in with other programs and other coaches was always, hey, let's just go play a game. And it was awesome. And just kind of being a part of that was a great experience for us on a lot of different levels, not only just basketball-wise as a team, but individually getting a lot of guys out there in some different situations that they ordinarily wouldn't have if we just went and played for a 40-minute game.
You said you would be using the scrimmages to figure out their rotation. How close is that to done, or is it completely done?
Man, that's an amazing question. We're working on it still. I would love to sit here. I was actually talking to Leon Rice this morning for a little bit about our teams and where we're at and things like that. And we're not anywhere near where I would like to be with regards to that and with regards to like an offensive rhythm. We have a lot of new guys coupled with returners that are very talented players, particularly offensively, and trying to find that right balance and rhythm is something we're still searching for. I think there's some stretches we're terrific together and some stretches where it's like, we just haven't quite connected yet. So I think offensively, there still is a process we're going through, and inevitably that involves rotation and substitutions. There's been a little bit of a change here recently that we'll kind of work through. But I think I'd love for it to be there. It's not quite there. I think that's part of what we have our last practice today. We got 2 days off. There'll be a lot of coaches meetings, a lot of film sessions, a lot of reevaluation. How has this last month gone? And then when we get back Sunday, take another step and go from there. We're still moving around with our defense quite a bit. We've worked on about 3 or 4 different types of pressure, trying to find our sweet spot. We're working on a different one now, and hopefully, again, at the end of this, we're going to kind of reevaluate where we're at, and then hopefully Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, getting ready for Wednesday, I'll be able to answer that question a little bit better than I can right now. But I also don't want to answer it prematurely. I'd like to give these guys as many opportunities as I can, even today's practice, even meetings after today's practice for a few days, and then Sunday. I still want to allow, hopefully, the right mold to kind of settle, if that makes any sense.
Coach, I know last year you were kind of concerned after you had a couple of scrimmages.
Yeah.
About where you're at and sleepless nights, perhaps. What's the feeling now after you've seen him in action against a couple of Pacific Northwest teams?
Yeah, I still have sleepless nights right now. I have a mouse problem in my house. I don't know if anybody's ever had a mice problem, but gosh, they are the bane of my existence. And regardless, it's just different. It's a different feeling with us right now. I don't think anyone around us feels like we're a great team right now. I don't think anyone around us necessarily feels like we're clicking on all cylinders. But I don't think there's anyone that doesn't think that's going to happen at some point. Yesterday's practice, from just a teamwork and camaraderie and chemistry standpoint, was maybe the best we've had. After a game, some really tough film sessions, some really tough conversations, guys starting to realize maybe they're not starting, guys starting to realize that maybe this is where they're at. And when you start to have those difficult conversations and you can still maintain a good energy and a good chemistry about you, that's very comforting. And I think as long as we have that, as long as we're still all rowing the boat together, we can work through whatever we have to schematically, and then even just individually, just putting this thing together. So it feels a lot comforting to everybody. Again, I don't feel great about where we're at, but I think I feel much, much better about where it's going.
So point guard position, obviously JJ coming in, Jaquan. Who's just seeing him now in action? Who's looking on the ball? If he came down to more of a set, who's going to play that position more? Is it going to be, just mixing that?
Yeah, it's one we go with every day. Obviously, JJ, that's his natural position. He's great there. Jaquan has a history there and can play there. And then yesterday was the first day we put Zane there, just kind of exclusively. So we'll have Zane there again today. We'll keep working through that. And those are going to be, for now, our 3-point guard options. Exactly who plays with who. And, it's tough to play all 3 at once. But we're trying that as well. And we're just working through it. I wish I'd give you a straight one. I think they're all good options. Zane, we just started on, so we'll evaluate him as it goes. I think JJ's probably naturally inclined right now to be there, but that doesn't preclude those other 2 guys from being able to slide in or kind of have 2 on the floor at the same time.
Coach, is the plan to do the starting lineups like you've done in the past with deflections during defense, or what do you do?
Right now, no. Right now, we're just kind of working through different guys, how this thing will fit. It's become more of an offensive picture than maybe I would have liked, but when you have very good offensive players like you do, our rhythm and flow there can really impact our defense, and that's kind of what we've been spending more time on as far as merging these guys together. Defensively, there's a system. We're tinkering with some things, but they can all kind of plug in and plug out. Offensively, the skills of one player and the skills of another have much greater differences than they do on the defensive end of the floor. So from that perspective, the plan right now is no. The plan will be to try and find the best mold offensively that won't distract us too much defensively.
Coach, last year you moved Vance a little bit and McQuatch. Is Vance basically going to go back to being made perhaps a power forward, and and McQuatch maybe on the wing a little
Yeah.
bit more, that kind of thing?
Same thing. It isn't just the point guards we're kind of moving in and out. We're moving other guys around different spots as too. Obviously, Carlton's a 5. I think everybody knows it, but maybe him and Corey play together, and we practice those lineups just as we did in our scrimmage with the 2 big guys together. We've played a small ball lineup. We did it yesterday where Vance is the 5, and we just kind of spread the floor with, shooters and guys that can drive and attack. So that's been part of our preseason as well, just putting all these different guys in different lineups and seeing how they gel, how they work together, and then how efficient they are. So I don't know if that's something that would end anytime soon, like to Isabel's question. Like, I don't think we're going to go into Eastern and say, this is us and this is it. I think it's going to be kind of an ongoing thing because we do have a lot of very talented offensive players, and we've got to find a good balance for those guys to be successful, and then obviously to give our team the best chance to win. So yes, Vance is moving around. He'll play some power forward. He might play some small ball 5. He might play some 3 where we have him, Corey, and Carlton out there together, and we play a little more power basketball. So again, we're working through those things still.
I want to follow up to you made the comment that there's bigger jumps offensively between players than there are defensively. You can kind of plug players in and out defensively and not take a drop off. Are you saying you're not sacrificing defense at all because of that, or is your defense possible?
I hope not. I think inevitably you do. Inevitably there are going to be guys with greater defensive skill sets and offensive skill sets, but I think player A and player B, and I'm not really big on talking about players, the discrepancy in them defensively might be like this. Maybe the defensive player is a little bit better than offensive player, but when we go to offense, it goes like this, and that's where, to me, it's hard. I think in the past couple of years here, the discrepancy between our players really hasn't been great, from my perspective. And whether we started this 5 or that 5 really didn't have a big difference. But I think now we have some bigger differences. We have some guys that, to me, are maybe all-conference type of talents or players that can do things, and they should have more minutes to give ourselves the best chance to win.
Well, with that said, part of the reason you did the deflections in the past, as unpopular as it became among some fans, was to emphasize what you said you wanted to be the calling card of your team, which was the effort plays, the hustle plays, the deflections and all that. How do you still emphasize that, or are you kind of past the point?
No, probably twofold. One, maybe a little. I think we've finally got, I think, the caliber of a roster that those decisions become a little bit more challenging to make. Hopefully the culture of those things has been established, that you don't need to have little reminders to really enforce upon new people what you're doing. Now you've got guys that know that's a influence. And I was in our locker room this morning going through our wall of truth, and if you look at the 5 top deflection guys, it's pretty close. It's got all the guys you'd like. So that where I'm sitting there going, you know what? Even if I had to go with those 5 right now, those would be 3 or 4 of the 5 I'd already pick anyways. So I think if it was the reverse and our deflection numbers had certain guys at the bottom and other guys at the top, there might be some guys looking at me going, what's going on here? But I think what we emphasize and the guys that are doing it, it still reflects in general what I'd like, or to your point.
Coach, what can you say about the engagement that you had with Anthony Mathis, between you and him, and even the players and him? Is there anything like that you can share?
No, I didn't really speak to him. I don't know if any of the players did. Wish him and his team all the best this season.
Coach, you talked about, a lot about what you guys are working on both sides of the ball. Is there anything that you worked on yourself or just talked about with the other coaches as far as a plan, at least, for how you want to run the defense coming into the year? Because, last year at the beginning of the season, it changed a little bit at different times. Is there anything you worked on to maybe have a more concrete plan going into the season?
I think our half-court defensive principles have been what we've spent 65 to 70% of our practice time on this fall. And there, even in our scrimmage, I thought that was our strongest part of our game. And our first scrimmage, I thought that was the strongest part of our game. And that's something that as I've told and demonstrated to the guys through film and other things, that has to be good for us. For us to be a championship level team, we have to defend, especially in the half court. What we're working on is basically everything else around that. What's our full court defense look like? To what extent is it going to be? What levels? Where's that going to look like? And then offensively, how do we put all these kind of pieces together? But the reason I'm probably not as concerned about those other areas, because I still feel like as long as we can defend and work in the half court and work on those other areas and find our sweet spots, we'll still be where we need to be, as everyone else is working on the very same thing. So those things we're trying to get caught up on, but as long as we don't lose sight of the fact that we've got to get stops to win games, I'm okay. I'm okay with the rest of it. That's where our practices kind of start and stop, and our game goals and points of emphasis and timeouts are all centered around like just playing defense.
Coach, a lot of times when you're coaching, you have players that you know that they're happy, not happy, but they're okay coming off the bench, and others all want to start. Do you have that situation? You don't have to name any.
We do. I haven't had to deal with it before because of what Will and Jeff brought up. It was pretty simple, but now that they think I'm doing it out of who I think might be best, then yeah, you have those. And we've had those. So I'm glad we're doing them. I'm glad we're going through all that right now. I'm glad we've had the film sessions we've had, the conversations we had, and that's what made yesterday's practice. Like I said, it was the most positive, team-oriented chemistry kind of practice we've had this fall. And that comes after a game in which things like that unfolded, a game in which there's some tough moments and some really hard film sessions and some really hard conversations about what you maybe can and can't do and maybe what we're going to be doing or not doing. And to kind of have that kind of a bounce back, I thought, from just an engagement perspective, was very, very comforting to me. We can work on the rest of it, but it kind of starts, I think, with our belief in ourselves, our staying togetherness, and enjoying the ride together. And I think as long as we can keep that mindset, and that's really from the players even as much as it is me, we'll work out the kinks and the X's and O's in the full court defense, and then as our offense kind of progresses too.
Coach, so you've played 2 scrimmages now. What effects and changes have you seen with the 3-point line?
This past weekend, a lot of changes. Nobody could make a shot. Even the player Will mentioned, nobody could make one. And they had the NBA 3. They had so many 3-point lines on there. I don't know if anybody knew what was going on. And they were just launching. Everyone was just launching really, really deep ones. And the percentages on both teams were really down. First one here, percentages were up. So I think NIT percentages I think one of my staff members was showing it to me. I think it was 3-4 percentage points of a difference from the sample sizes of what's been used, on an exploratory purpose. I know we've changed our defense about it, and we're kind of working through our offense. Offensively for us, everyone's going to kind of see we're not probably going to be as reliant on it as either we've been in the past or need to be right now. If we can get going from there, that's great. But we have so many gifted offensive players that kind of getting to the paint and doing things around there. We're going to be playing inside out first. And, I think we're 40-plus free throw attempts in both scrimmages. We have big men that can make free throws. And I think getting to that rim area is going to be a little bit more of an emphasis for us anyway. So offensively, I hope it doesn't affect us much. And I hope the changes we made defensively give us an advantage with the change as well.
Sounds like you are happy with the scrimmage format, but last night Utah State, Fresno State, San Diego State, Nevada, all 4 had exhibitions in front of their fans.
Yep.
Is the 2 scrimmage closed door, not in front of fans, something you're going to do again, or are you going to try and give one preseason?
Well, we got the extra home game, so I felt a little bit better about that. Maybe on a year where we're short a home game, I'd try and make it up to them. But I think this year's the most home games we've had in quite a while, so I don't feel like necessarily the fan is getting the short end of this stick here. I enjoyed what we did personally and for our basketball team, but obviously we have an amazing fan base and I have to have their considerations as well. So I think as we go forward, this might not be an absolute rule, but if I can get to a point where we can continue to do these, I don't get a chance to play Oregon, very often in a setting like that, and it's hard to turn down. So ideally going forward, I would continue to do them, but I wouldn't rule it out just because, again, we have, amazing fans that I want to make sure are appreciated as well.
And you already had Portland lined up before Oregon presented itself.
We did.
Okay.
We did. And we're returning to Portland next year at the same venue we were this year, Nike headquarters.
Other than winning, what's a specific goal you have for your season opener?
You know, I probably haven't got that quite far. I think our goal right now is to we had, you know, these few days together post Oregon to clean up all the things we wanted to clean up, the changes we wanted to make to our offense and our defense based on that. We're going to take the next 2 days and really kind of like retreat, like reevaluate everything, see where we're at, make sure we're coming back on Sunday for a great plan Sunday, Monday, Tuesday to get ready for Wednesday's game. We have game goals, like we're process oriented from the standpoint we have game goals and objectives we're trying to meet along the way. But I'd even say right now that's probably a little early for what we want to do for Eastern on Wednesday night. I think we'll be able to establish that by Sunday, Monday, and have a little bit of a better plan because, like I said, we've worked on 3 or 4 different types of defenses back to our defense. Which one we want to emphasize, which one we don't, which ones we like, which ones we don't like, what may kind of play out with our roster exactly. There's a lot of those things I think that still have to settle themselves, and we're going to take a good 48 hours and do that. Actually, a little longer than that, and just kind of re-engineer some things how we need to for Sunday.
Last one.
Just so generic, just chemistry. Obviously, that's been a thing that you kind of try to work on last year, moving to this year. More guys that are been on your roster, but I mean, just talk about the chemistry. How are they playing? How are they flowing? I know it's a big part of basketball.
Yeah, no, I that was the $1 million question going into this year, just because I think there was a vibe about last year's team that people either felt or thought had to have occurred because of the way the season was kind of unfolding, and I really haven't had to spend as much time on it as I did going in. We had all kinds of things planned this fall with regards to team camaraderie events and different things to kind of get them together. But every time you meet with a guy and talk to him how things are going, it's like, man, I'm great. I love these. Like their connections amongst each other are incredible. We have these kind of team boards. I make them sign, and we had one in the fall, and I made them sign it. I gave them some things that, hey, I want you to abide. This is going to be our contract. It's a giant poster. It's sitting in our offices. All the players sign it, and they agree to these terms. And I made those. I created them saying we need to do this, this, and this. That's got to be about our preseason. And, just before we left on the trip, I said, I want you guys to make the next one. Here's a list of 10 things to think about. And the ones that they picked were all just kind of team camaraderie, chemistry oriented, and there were kind of some individual ones. There were some, result oriented ones, but the ones about enjoyment, the ones about togetherness, every single one of them picked, and that's kind of become our theme. I think we have enough talent. We have enough in place, particularly defensively, to be a good team. But to really make that next step, I think, and compete at a high level, we're going to need to be really connected as a unit. And right now, we're on a great path. And a lot of coaches can say in the preseason, I can say in the preseason, when you start playing other teams is when that stuff gets real. And we are playing other teams. And guys are coming off the bench. And guys are realizing maybe their minutes aren't what they wanted or their shots aren't going to be what they want. And we're still in a good place, and that's comforting to me right now.
It's kind of, is it translating on the court compared to last year? You know what I'm saying? Like when they're...
I hope so. I mean, I feel it, but at the end of the day, we still have to go out and do it. We still have to go through many adversities that we'll face this year. But I feel good. I don't feel great. I don't feel great by any means. I don't go home at night going, we're gonna go to the Final Four. But I do go home at night going, I like the path we're on. I like the group we have. I like their connectedness. And we're just kind of slowly inching down the road together here, which is it's a fun place to be.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you.